Hello again. Okay, so I'm going to get the other lesson done here and then I'll be caught up again. Yay. Um, what I'm going to do when I do this tomorrow at Kehilat Beit Lechem is I'm going to have a verse printed out, but it's going to take up most of this board and it's just going to take too much time. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to go to this website, mechonmamre.org. And it means the Institute of Mamre, where Abraham lived, mechonmamre.org. And that is a place where you can, for free, read any portion of the Tanakh in Hebrew. And they'll have side-by-side translations. It's really useful. So I want you to go to Numbers 4, and I think it's verse 2. It's the second verse in this week's Parsha. And so we're going to learn a lot of the words that are in it so that you can go back and read that verse. Okay, so the name of the Parsha is Naso, and it comes from the word Nasa, which means to lift up, to bear, to carry, something like that. And notice that it's not Nasha, it has the dot on this side. So it's Nasa. From that, we get the word Nasi, which means prince, because a prince is lifted up. And now in modern Hebrew, the Nasi is the president, also someone who's lifted up. And here it is in plural, Nasi'im. And you're going to have those two E sounds in it, Nasi'im. So it's a little different than other plural endings. So that means to lift up, to carry, whatever. And I'm going to share something. Maybe nobody's heard of this and doesn't even know what I'm talking about. Maybe you've heard it a lot and you've really committed yourself to one side of this discussion or the other. I'm not going to enter the discussion. I'm not going to try and tell you what to believe. I'm just going to give you some information, the best that I know, and you can wrestle with it beyond that, but I want to get facts out there. So, there's another word. Looks very much like it. Nasha, because the dot is on the other side. So this makes a sheen instead of a seen. Now what you may have heard, there is a growing group of people, a lot of them believers in Yeshua, who are of the opinion, of the belief that NASA has not really done all that they say they've done. They have not been to the places that they say they've been, and they know that. And so they're kind of playing a pun or playing a trick on the public by having their name, NASA, which is an acronym, and what is it, National Aeronautic and Space Agency, that was designed because in Hebrew, if you say NASA, it means to deceive. Yes and no. So I want to give you both sides. You saw Nasa, and that means to lift up, to carry, to bear. This one is very close to it. It just has the dot on the other side. It's pronounced Nasha, and this does mean to deceive. And so I can say that they're two completely different words, but having said that, if you look in the Tanakh or if you have a Torah scroll, in the Tanakh it'd probably be marked, but in a Torah scroll, you would not have the vowel markings, you wouldn't have the dot to signify whether it's a seen or a sheen. So they would look exactly the same. In Hebrew, there are a number of words that have dual meanings, and it's usually like two sides of the same coin. And the only one I can think of that is an example that always gets used, and maybe there are more in English, but I can't think of them right now, is the word cleave. Because if you have a meat cleaver, you cut it cleanly in two pieces. On the other hand, if you cleave to your spouse, you come together. So cleave can either mean take one thing and separate it permanently into two pieces, or it can mean that you take two things and bring them permanently as one. It's the same word. That kind of thing happens in Hebrew a lot, that you have dual meanings, the flip side, contained in that word. And you just have to kind of work it out in the context and see which way it goes, or maybe both are encompassed. And so there's also that feeling that maybe Nasa is kind of one of those words. In my opinion, no, but I'm just going to give you what I know, and then you can take it from there. Because when you're talking about Eve in the garden, and she's eaten the forbidden fruit, and God comes to Adam and Eve in the cool of the evening, and he's saying, what have you done? Did you eat of that tree that I told you not to eat? And Eve says, the serpent nashad me. The serpent nashad me, and I did eat. The serpent deceived me. And if you try to say, well, it could be the other word, the serpent lifted me on his shoulders and I ate. The serpent carried me on his back and I ate, doesn't really fit. It's a different word. And I'm grateful for that part of the oral tradition. Whether or not you are at all comfortable with the Talmud or the Mishnah, anything, the tradition of how it's pronounced having been brought down is wonderful. Otherwise, we would be a little bit confused. And then the Masoretes wrote out all the vowel markings. I'm grateful for that before it got lost. Okay, so she says, the serpent nashad me. Then just a little bit farther down the road, you have Cain and Abel. And Cain kills his brother, and God tells him he's going to be sent out, and he's going to have to wander in the earth. And Cain says, my punishment is greater than I can nasa. And it's the other word. It's more than I can bear, more than I can have on my shoulders. And you wouldn't say, well, it might be Nesha. My punishment is greater than I could deceive. That doesn't fit. They're different words. They're different meanings. So yes, if you look at a Torah scroll, you're going to see Nasa, and it's going to be without all these markings, and it's going to mean to deceive. But in real use, it's pronounced slightly differently. So I just wanted to bring that up, and you can do with that what you feel comfortable with. Okay, so Nasa is going to be Naso because it's the first word. Needed to go over that. Okay, so then we have Bane. And lots of times it gets pronounced as Ben, but it's pronounced Bane, really. And that means son. You probably have heard that. And if you have more of them, if you have several of them, because now the noon is not any longer the last letter, so it's not a noon sofit. Oh, I did that wrong. Okay, banim. But you do have a mem sofit. And this becomes ba, doesn't it? Okay, banim. That is plural, sons. Now I've gone over this several times in meetings and here on the board. If you wanted to say sons of, what would you say? How would you do that? How do you change the ending? And what happens to that first letter? Okay. This isn't going to be regular. So just do the best you can. So that's just going to be a but. It's not even going to have a strong vowel sound. The mem sofit goes. B'nai, sons of. And you're going to see that in the Tanakh, sons of Israel. But sometimes it's translated children of Israel. And that's equally good as a translation. Because in the last lesson that I just did, masculine things can include men and women. Feminine words only include women. So this could be sons of, or it could be children of. It could be either one. So both of them are excellent translations. Okay, and just in the name of equal opportunity here, I'm going to do daughters. Okay, so. Okay, Bot. Bot is a daughter. And so you'd think, since ot is the ending of a feminine, if you made a feminine noun plural, you put the ot on the end, so you'd think that's going to be batot. That's not what's going to happen. This is irregular. So it's ba again. No, I don't want that, do I? Okay, you're going to have the oat ending, but you put it on ben. Ba note. That is daughters, plural. It does have the oat ending, but it doesn't have the tav in the middle. It reverts back to this. It's banim and banot for the masculine and feminine groups of people. Sons and daughters. Okay. So this is a name. And when this was something that was so hard for me. I'd be trying to, a second, I can't say one thing and read something else. Okay. Gimel, Resh, Shin, Vav, Nun Sofit, Gershon. And from what I've read and what I've been told, this is just a variation of the name Gershom, which means stranger there. That's what Moses named his son, but this doesn't look like Sham to me. I don't know. So if you find out something different, please feel free to let me know. Okay, so Gershon is the name. And when I was first learning, and I'm still learning, but something that was so confusing at first, because I think, I want to do it myself. I want to figure out what this says. And I'd have just the Hebrew translation of something. And so I'm not going to look at the English on the other side. I'm going to cover it up with a cloth or a book or something. I'm going to figure out what this is. So then I would come to a word like this. And I'd say, what the heck is a Gershon? What's the three-letter root? On would be the ending, so garash. Garash. What does that mean? And I can't remember right now. It is a three-letter root or something. I think it might be galash or garash. I can't remember which one. One of them means to slide, to ski, to skate, that kind of thing. And I can't remember for sure which one it is. But anyway, I'd be trying to fit that in, so it'd be kind of like the sons of the skier. I have no idea what I'm reading, you know. And then I'd look over and I'd find out, oh, it's a name. Because names are just pieces of words put together lots of times. You don't have the whole word. So that can be really confusing. If you're reading along, trying to translate and not looking at the English, and you have a couple of proper names in a city, and you don't know that's what it is, you're trying so hard to figure it out and you can't. Okay, so that's the name of the person that's mentioned. And I was going to go over, okay, what Gershon meant. So here's Ger. And we talked about this once before. So there's Ger and Zer. And you might see this as Zar. So I'm going to put both vowels there because I've seen both. So Ger and Zer, they both mean stranger, but they mean something different. It's a different quality of stranger. Do you remember what the difference is? Ger, as a stranger, has a gimel. What does the gimel represent? Benefit, giving, generosity. So this is a good kind of stranger. Zer, what's a zayin? It can be a tool. It can also be a weapon. So this is a stranger that you're going to lock out of the city gates. So that's the difference between those two. So, and then the other part of Gershon, which to me looks like it isn't Gershon. Okay, anyway. Okay, Sham, with the mem sofit, because it's the last letter in the word. Sham, that means there. And again, for equal opportunity, we're going to do here. Okay, Po, Sham and Po. And you may know those two words from dreidels. if you have one that was made here, bought here, used here, it's going to say Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle happened there, over in Israel. If you're living there and you buy one that's made there, Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle happened right here. So then if you have Gershom, that's Moses' son's name. So it means stranger here. Okay, so then some prefixes and stuff. Oh, first of all, Gam. Okay, Gam. It's a small word that means also, in addition, moreover, as well, something that adds on to it. So that's going to be in there. And then we have, now I will do some of the pronouns. Him, and I talked in the last lesson about, I can't remember how much I did on that. Okay. Anyway, this is going to mean they. Is it going to be they men or they women? Ends with a mem. Which one is it going to be? It's going to be masculine, him. And hein is they for women. And then you can get into all kinds of things. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to erase that and start over. Okay, so at the ends of words, you are going to see sometimes Tom or Ton, or it might just be a mem or a noon at the end. Hebrew likes to add the tav in, but sometimes you won't see it. So this will be of them or their. Please give them, please give Tom or give Ton the apple, what, you know, or the basket of apples if it's going to be plural. So either way, it might say, it could be them or of them, and we would translate it as their, T-H-E-I-R. It's their basket of apples, but it would say basket of apples of them in Hebrew. So let's see. Okay. And then another word. One more down here. Well, a few more that come from the same root. And this one you might also know because it's kind of like shalom. It's a word that everybody uses. Even if you don't speak much Hebrew, you probably use this one at times, or at least have heard it. I can't see that. Okay, it's not this. That's going to come later. Okay. Mishpacha. Mishpacha. That means family. And there's another word that I got curious about last night, so I had to look up to find out what the relationship was, because it has the same, bunch of the same letters in there. Only this one's going to be a fa instead of a pa. And is that all I need there? I think so. Okay. Sheaf ha. Sheaf ha. You can see these same letters are here. This one has the mem at the beginning, but you can see that this would be the root. And a sheaf ha, as it was explained to me, is a female slave who is also kind of like part of the family. A sheaf ha is what Hagar was. She's called a sheaf ha when you get there. There are other words for slave. there's Oved, there's, if it's a maidservant, there's Amma. There are a number of words, but this one, as it was explained to me, is that this is somebody that's kind of part of the household, yet a slave, a servant, but also part of the household, an interesting blend there. So I thought, well, how are they related? I mean, I know they both have something to do with a family, but what is it? And I'd never seen this root before, but I kept looking up at sites last night. I finally found one, and I don't even know if this root is in the Tanakh or not. Oh, that would be that. Writing sideways is so fun. Okay, shafa. It means to be connected. So in a family, you are all connected, and the shifha is connected to your family as well. Okay, so if you go back to that verse, and it starts out Naso, and you're not going to be able to see this paper. Naso, that's a command word for lift up. Lift up et rosh. And the aleph tav, that little word that doesn't translate into English, it tells you that a direct object is coming next. So what are you going to lift up? You're going to lift up a rosh. No, Naso et rosh. Lift up a head. What does that mean? It's an idiom in Hebrew, and you probably wouldn't have figured it out if you weren't told. I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't been told. It means to count heads, take a census. So you'll probably find it translated in your Bible as take a census. And then, and also, Hebrew uses singular words sometimes where we think it ought to be plural. Like if you're reading somebody's age, instead of saying Noah was 100 years old, it'll say 100 year. And in our minds, well, if you have 100 of them, isn't it plural? That's just one of the little idiosyncrasies. So, Naso et rosh, lift up the head, like there's just one, but it means all of them. B'nai, sons of, Gershon. Lift up the heads of the sons of Gershon, or take a census of the sons of Gershon. Gam, also. After you've done everybody else in the previous chapter, and I want you to do this with Gershom also. And then you have hem, they, which is redundant in English. And I'm just trusting that Moses knew what he was doing and he wrote it correctly. Levite. And that's the Beit. It's like Beit Lechem, house of, but with a lamed in front. And they softened the Beit and made it a vet. So, Levate. And I've told you before that the lamed at the beginning can mean of or for. It can also mean according to. And that would be the appropriate translation here. So, take a census of the sons of Gershom also. According to Avotam. What's an av? I didn't put that on there, but av is a word that is really easy to remember. It's father. Avotam. There's that ending. What does it mean? There, or of them. The father, and it is singular. This is another place where we would say their fathers, but it says their father. Lift up the heads, or take a census of the sons of Gershon also, according to the house of their father, or according to the houses of their fathers. And then the last word is lamishpat. I can read it quietly better than I can read it out loud. Lamishpahotam, according to their family. And we would translate it families. So that verse is take a census, or lift up the heads of the sons of Gershom also, according to their fathers' houses, according to their families. And so you actually read a verse. Okay, have a good weekend.